So I'm now going to do a drawing of two pears together. I'm going to draw it without the grey and the painting and the drawing. You can use that approach if you want. That's absolutely fine. Some people find it a lot easier to sort of split the process into two. So the first one we're working with all the values and shapes, and then in the second stage we just add colour onto that. For this demonstration I'm going to do the whole lot at once, so kind of a more direct approach. So I have the same pastels here, and I may pull in one or two others. So I've set up my little still life there. Fairly happy with it. I've got two pears, different angles to each other. So one's quite strongly foreshortened. I've also got a lovely cast shadow coming across that second pair there. So I'm going to draw out. So first of all I might just set the angle of the first one in. And then look at this relationship carefully between the two of them. So we've got two angles, one pair coming towards us, one on its side. I'm looking at maybe if I pop the base of one in, it gives me something to anchor the rest of it against. So I've got to use kind of trig points here for picking out where this pair is sitting in space. So I'm looking at an angle maybe between the centre of this to the centre of the imaginary centre of the other pair, and it's sort of this angle here. So I very gently sort of set in that circle there. Let's look at the relationship now between this edge and the front edge of this pair, not the stalk, the front of the pear. So it's kind of that angle. So I know it's somewhere around here, and I can do the same with the angle of the edge of the bottom pair and the tip of the top pair. So I know I'm somewhere in the right area, so I might just go ahead, draw the rest of this pair in. So put my circle at the top, and then I'm looking at the way these two join up. It's not a straight line, it curves up, dips in slightly, and then out for the rounded form. And on this one it does the same. It's actually flattened slightly on the bottom. They're never perfectly symmetrical. In it comes and joins up. Got kind of a narrower tip on this one, and then we've got our stalk coming out. Now for drawing the second pair, I'm looking at where the edge of the pair intersects, the bottom pair intersects with the top one, and it's there, and it creeps back into its rounded form, so that's working. And then look carefully at the negative space in here, and it comes up and it hits it somewhere around there. So I know my rounded form of my bottom pair starts there. It comes out to here, and again I'm looking carefully at that line which kicks in a little bit and then out. The stalk then does something very nice. It comes down and then creeps back up on itself. So it's joining that centre line going through. Cast shadows, very interesting. What we have is the light's coming from the top right in this case. So the light rays are coming down. They're cutting off. Do you see the way I draw the cast shadow? Creating a nice rounded ellipse. This shape here, very important that we don't just end up going into the pear at the top. It kind of pivots around the bottom section of the pear, looking at where it intersects with the bottom pair. That's about right. And then as it comes up, we get a little bit of negative space in there. Now it's coming along the ground, and then the cast shadow is being kicked up around the pear. So we have a rounded form of the cast shadow. And this tells us such a good story about the shape of the pear and shape of this pear and the source of the light. This cast shadow, we can see the stalk then coming around the pear. See how that's making a rounded form? And the cast shadow then of the stalk comes out here. And we see the shape of the pear, the bottom pear then. There's the first circle, here's the second one, and then we join them up. We also see the cast shadow of the stalk being kicked across there. Okay. So now I'm going to set in the surface, the line at the end of the white surface. And I'm going to start a block in so that I've got a good rounded shape to work from. So terminator, light is coming from here, therefore our terminator on our sphere is going to be here. It's going to creep up to here. There's the core shadow on the first pair. Core shadow on the second pair is going to be a rounded form. Come up here. There's my core shadow for the second pair. Set in my cast shadows. Cast shadow across the pair. Cast shadow along the ground. All of the background is quite dark, so I might just set that in now. So I have all my shadows mapped in now. Probably a good place to stop and take a break and clear the head.